Listen, kid.
Oh my God.
So, 50 years ago, in a certain town, there were two twin brothers with superhuman abilities, Samaritan and Nemesis. They were incredibly strong, and no weapon could harm them. One tragic night, while they were asleep with their parents, some people locked their house from the outside and set it on fire. Their parents didn't make it, but the twins managed to escape. The older brother, Samaritan, took it upon himself to protect the city and ended up sacrificing his life for the greater good. On the other hand, Nemesis was driven by revenge. He went on a killing spree, taking out everyone who had a hand in their parents' deaths. But his thirst for power didn't stop there. He wanted to rule the world. Meanwhile, Samaritan was determined to keep him in check. Nemesis crafted a powerful hammer, the only thing capable of ending both their lives. One day, he set off an explosion at a power plant, causing chaos and endangering innocent people, all in an effort to lure Samaritan into his trap. When Samaritan showed up to help, the brothers clashed in an intense battle. The power plant eventually blew up, leading to both their deaths, or so everyone believed. Fast forward to the present. A 13-year-old boy named Sam lives in a small apartment with his mom, Tiffany, who struggles to make ends meet. Before heading to work, she asks him to take out the trash. Sam is obsessed with Samaritan. He firmly believes the hero is still alive and spends his time painting pictures of him. One rainy day, while throwing out the garbage, he spots a Nemesis symbol in a trash can. Grabbing some spray paint, he covers it with Samaritan's logo instead. Right at that moment, an elderly man named Joe Smith, who lives next door, comes by to throw out his own trash. Sam quickly hides, watching as Joe rummages through the garbage, pulls out a minifan, and heads home. Joe lives alone and works as a garbage collector. He also has a knack for fixing broken appliances and selling them to a pawn shop for some extra cash. The next day, Sam comes home from school to find that the landlord has locked their apartment because his mom couldn't pay rent. Stressed out, he goes to the park. On his way home from work, Joe is carrying an old radio when Sam approaches him and asks if it works. Joe just shrugs and says, "Dead as a doornail." Sam, curious, asks why he's carrying a broken radio. Joe smirks and asks why Sam wears a broken watch, then walks away. Just then, Sam's friend Jace shows up and offers him a way to make some cash. Sam agrees and follows him to an abandoned house, where they steal copper coils and sell them for $40. But things take a turn when a local gangster named Cyrus and his girlfriend, Syl, arrive. Cyrus is a big fan of Nemesis and leads a gang of criminals. One of them, Reza, tries to convince Jace to help rob a store by the coast, but Jace refuses. Instead, Sam volunteers. The plan is simple. Sam will distract the store owner while Reza and his crew swipe some goods. Sam fakes an injury by smearing ketchup on his forehead, keeping the owner busy while the others make their move. But when they open the stolen boxes later, they realize they grabbed the wrong ones. All they got were potato chips. Furious, Reza blames Sam, pushing him down. Before things escalate further, Cyrus steps in. He asks Sam how old he is, and when Sam says 13, Cyrus is impressed. He gives Sam $200 and punishes Reza instead. Syl tells Sam that Cyrus sees potential in him. Sam heads home and hands the money to his mom, claiming he earned it honestly. She uses it to pay the rent, but she's suspicious and asks where he got it. Sam lies. The next day, on his way to school, Reza and his gang chase after Sam. He runs as fast as he can, but they eventually catch him. Reza starts beating him up, but just then, Joe shows up. Without breaking a sweat, he tosses Reza's friend aside. Reza tries to punch him, but instead, he ends up hurting himself. Joe barely reacts and takes down the entire group effortlessly. In a last-ditch attempt, Reza pulls out a knife and tries to stab him, but Joe grabs the blade with his bare hands and crushes it. Terrified, Reza runs off. Joe, as usual, doesn't say much. He just walks away. Seeing Joe's strength, Sam starts suspecting he might be Samaritan. Later that day, he spies on Joe through binoculars and notices a large burn scar on his back. That's when he becomes convinced. Joe is the hero he's been idolizing all along. Meanwhile, Cyrus and his gang, disguised as cops, break into a police evidence storage facility. A guard asks for ID, but Cyrus simply tosses a grenade, killing him instantly. They break into the vault and find the helmets of both Samaritan and Nemesis, along with Nemesis' legendary hammer. When Cyrus picks up the hammer and smashes it into a door, he feels its power surge through him. Sam, still determined to uncover the truth, follows Joe around town, watching his every move. Eventually, Joe confronts him and tells him stop. But Sam won't let it go. He sneaks into Joe's apartment through a window and finds a file filled with old newspaper articles about Samaritan. He takes it home, eager to piece everything together. When Joe notices the missing file, he immediately knows who took it. He goes straight to Sam's place and talks to Tiffany. She tells Sam to return the file and apologizes for her son's actions. Sam reluctantly gives it back, but still gushes about how big of a fan he is. Joe, however, insists he's just a regular guy. The next day, Sam runs into Joe again and asks him point blank if he's Samaritan. Joe denies it and simply walks away. But before Sam can process his disappointment, Reza and his gang suddenly drive up and ram their car straight into Joe. He crashes onto the pavement, his bones breaking from the impact. Joe appears lifeless, and Sam rushes to him in tears. But suddenly, Joe's eyes flicker open, and his body seems to heal instantly. Sam, shocked but excited, tells him he already knows he's Samaritan. Still weak, Joe asks for water. Back at home, Joe takes an ice-cold shower and eats ice cream. Sam, confused, asks why he's eating ice cream after what just happened. Joe explains that when he gets injured, his body overheats, and if he doesn't cool down, his heart could explode. Sam then asks if this is how Nemesis died, but Joe quickly shuts down any talk about him. Meanwhile, Cyrus and his gang are using Nemesis's hammer to wreak havoc across the city. He sees himself as the new Nemesis, rallying the city's poor to join his cause. The next day, Sam runs into Joe and asks about his daily routine. Joe admits he used to be much stronger, but time has taken its toll. He also notices Sam's broken watch and offers to fix it. Sam thanks him and leaves. As this happens, Cyrus and his crew continue their crime spree in Nemesis's name, grabbing media attention. Hearing Nemesis's name over and over irritates Joe. Sam asks Joe to teach him how to fight, and Joe reluctantly agrees. However, Sam gets hurt during practice. Joe helps by putting ice on his hand, but when Sam again brings up Nemesis, Joe snaps and tells him to leave. On his way home, Sam is grabbed by Cyrus and his gang. Sam watches in horror as Cyrus murders a cop right in front of him. Terrified, he runs away. On his way back, he sees Reza beating up Jace. Sam jumps in, hitting Reza so Jace can escape. In retaliation, Reza smashes Sam's wrist and leaves him lying near his building. Joe, who recognizes Reza from before, finds Sam and rushes him to the hospital. Meanwhile, Reza tells his gang that the old man they hit with their car is still alive. Cyrus, noticing the damaged car, orders his men to track Joe down. They corner him in an alley and attack, but Joe easily overpowers them, throwing them around like rag dolls. Even gunfire does nothing to stop him. As Joe takes them all down, a little girl watches in awe and asks how he did it. The crowd gathers, recording everything. Then, someone hurls a grenade toward Joe. Thinking fast, he grabs the little girl and flips a car to shield them from the explosion. Miraculously, Joe protects the girl from harm. The video spreads everywhere, confirming Samaritan's return. Joe realizes it's time to leave town. However, Cyrus sees the footage and heads to Joe's apartment with his gang. But Joe is already gone. Frustrated, Cyrus trashes the place and then notices Sam in the apartment next door. Reza mentions how close Joe and Sam were. Cyrus decides to take Sam hostage. Sam and his mother try to escape, but Cyrus catches them. Meanwhile, Joe, waiting for a train, notices Sam's broken watch in his pocket. He rushes back to Sam's apartment, where Tiffany is sobbing. She tells him Cyrus took Sam. Furious, Joe loads his truck with barrels of oil and speeds towards Cyrus's hideout. Cyrus's plan is to blow up the city's power plant, plunging everything into darkness so his gang can loot freely. But before he can act, Joe crashes his truck straight into the building, running over guards in the process. Sam, watching, tells Cyrus he'll never succeed. The gang opens fire on Joe, but their bullets do nothing. Joe takes them down one by one. Then, Cyrus steps forward, declaring he'll finish what Nemesis started. Joe demands Sam's release, but Cyrus refuses and swings the hammer at him. The blow knocks Joe down, and Cyrus keeps attacking. Struggling to stand, Joe hears Cyrus sneer, "Good guys always fall." He raises the hammer for another strike, but Joe suddenly blocks it and growls, "I'm not the good guy." Cyrus and Sam are both stunned. The truth comes out. Joe isn't Samaritan. He's Nemesis. The real Samaritan died in the explosion 50 years ago. It was Nemesis who survived and lived in hiding as Joe. Grabbing the hammer, Joe prepares for battle. Just then, the oil barrels explode, killing several gang members, including Sil. Joe shows no mercy, taking down everyone in his way. As more enemies surround him, he destroys the building's supports, causing the ceiling to collapse and crush them all. Joe escapes the wreckage and sets his sights on Cyrus. Cyrus, furious, orders his men to shut down the city's power, plunging everything into darkness. Chaos erupts as criminals loot stores, burn buildings, and attack innocent people. Wearing Nemesis's mask, Cyrus roars like a beast, standing amid the flames. Sam, trapped and screaming for help, catches Joe's attention. Joe rushes to free him, but Cyrus strikes first, grabbing the hammer. A brutal fight breaks out. The heat from the fire makes Joe's body temperature spike dangerously high. Cyrus lands heavy blows, trying to send Joe crashing off the burning building. Sam struggles and finally breaks free, smashing a pipe over Cyrus's head. Joe seizes the moment, snatching the hammer and wrapping it around Cyrus. With one final move, Joe lifts Cyrus into the air and hurls him off the building, just like he did to Samaritan all those years ago. Suddenly, Joe collapses, his heart racing dangerously. Sam, thinking fast, opens a nearby water pipe and douses Joe to cool him down. The building starts to crumble. Joe grabs Sam's hand, crashes through a wall, and leaps to a nearby rooftop to safety. Still in shock, Sam asks if Joe is really Nemesis. Joe simply says yes, but Sam insists he can still change and do good. Outside, reporters swarm the scene, eager for answers. When they ask Sam what happened, he smiles and says, "Samaritan saved me." He's still out there. In a crowd, Joe watches silently, a small smile on his face. Then, he turns and disappears under a bridge. If you like this breakdown, don't forget to hit the like button. If you didn't, hit the dislike button twice, just to be sure. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe for more.